Welcome to Next Radio with Broadcast Bionics, innovative solutions for creative people.
This presentation is all about keeping the audience to prison radio low, because if you don't get this stuff right, then you actually could end up in prison. So this is a quick guide to the law for content creators, and it affects all of us, whether we work for the BBC, commercial radio, or whether you post on Facebook, Twitter, or any other social media, and whether you post socially or whether you post professionally. In fact, social networks are becoming an increasing danger area, because the number of online defamation cases has gone up quite a lot in the last year. The most famous case involved Courtney Love in America, who had to settle for nearly a quarter, or just over £250,000, because she referred to her designer as a nasty, lying, hosebag thief. So it does cost a lot of money, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this stuff in terms of celebrities suing people on Twitter because of what they've said on Twitter. So I'm going to start off with defamation. This is all about protecting people's good name, protecting people's reputation. And that word defamation literally means to defame someone. And there are two bits to it. There's libel and there's slander. And because a lot of us work in radio, you would have thought that slander is the bit of defamation that concerns us. But in fact, it's actually libel, because libel is defamation that's written down, that's published, or broadcast. And this is the legal definition of libel. I'm not going to give you lots of legal definitions in this session, but libel is something that exposes someone to hatred, ridicule, or contempt. Libel is something that leads someone to be shunned or avoided, injures someone in their trade, office, or profession, or lowers someone in the eyes of the public. And there are four main defences to libel. The first is justification, in other words, the truth. But you, as the writer or broadcaster, have to be able to prove that what you've written is true, using witnesses or statements or other written evidence. The second defense is what used to be called fair comment, but is now called honest comment. We live in a democracy, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and opinions expressed in good faith and without malice are protected against any libel actions. The third defense against libel is privilege. And this applies to MPs who get up in Parliament, or lawyers and witnesses who get up in court. They can say anything they like about anyone without being sued for libel. And newspapers, radio, and television stations that accurately report those proceedings are also protected against being sued for libel. And the fourth main defense is particularly useful in radio, called live broadcast. And that basically says that if you have someone come on the phone during a phone-in, and you took precautions to make sure nothing would happen, in other words, the calls were screened or maybe on delay, and you had no reason to suspect something might happen or something libelous might be said, then you are partially protected against libel. Here's some myths. Number one, people think that you're safe if you repeat something from a newspaper or website or blog. You are not. You are simply repeating something. If you read something out of The Sun on the radio and it's libelous, you are just as liable for action as The Sun is. Number two, you're safe if it's meant as a joke. The law does not have a sense of humour. Number three, you're safe if you don't name anyone. Well, someone just has to be identifiable for them to sue. You're safe if you libel a company. No, you're not. Organisations can sue just as much as individuals. You're safe if you say that word allegedly, which they love on Have I Got News for You. But no, you're not. And in fact, you could be getting yourself into more trouble, because if you use the word allegedly, you actually know that it's a bit dodgy. And finally, you're safe if no one will find out. Well, we all know that media is so streamed and available worldwide now that the days of me just broadcasting in my little area are long gone. Someone only has to prove, if they want to sue you for libel, that a statement's defamatory, that it refers to them, and that you published or broadcast it. They don't have to prove that it's untrue, because the burden of proof is on you. And also, they don't have to prove that it did any real damage. Consequences. Well, libel is a civil matter. That means it's settled by way of the payment of damages, the broadcast of an apology. Obviously, there's the high cost of lawyers, and we all know how much they cost. Most radio stations have defamation insurance to protect them, but the premiums go up, so it can cost real money for the radio station. As individuals, very few people have insurance like that. And of course, being sued for libel leads to bad publicity. So that's libel, that's one part of the law. The other part is contempt of court. This is all about the right to having a fair trial, protecting that right. And there's this phrase sub judice, which literally means under justice. And it means that from the moment that someone's arrested, throughout the court proceedings to the end of a trial, nothing can be broadcast or published that creates a substantial risk of serious impediment to a fair trial. And in other words, when someone's been arrested, the trial's taking place, you are totally restricted in what you can say. And you cannot comment on a trial. There are two very famous cases. The Rock FM, two DJs there were taken to court and nearly put in prison for something they said on the Drive show. And more recently, Beacon FM, the two breakfast show guys there lost their jobs because they made comment on Ian Huntley. He was being tried for the Soham murders. So serious stuff, this, and it can actually land you in court. The consequences of contempt of court, it's a criminal matter. It's punishable by fines and imprisonment, and that imprisonment usually lasts until you make a sincere, humble apology to the judge. But there are other consequences as well. A trial might have to be abandoned. Someone guilty may walk free as a result of what you say on the radio or post on Twitter. Here's my top 5 tips. Number 1, be careful what you repeat from blogs, newspapers, Twitter and Facebook. You are equally as responsible as the originator. Number 2, don't think you can get away with it just because you intend something to be a joke. I know of a radio station at the moment that is in trouble because they ran a promo that was intended to be jokey and someone decided to sue them for it. And I personally, when I ran Metro Radio up north, had a case where a presenter said something jokey and we were sued for it successfully. So be very careful what you say when you mean it to be a joke. Number 3, beware of using this word allegedly. It can land you in more trouble than you think. Number 4, never, ever, ever comment on an ongoing court case or a trial. And number 5 is the advice I was given on the very first day I walked into a newspaper newsroom as a young journalist, and that is, if in doubt, leave it out. Quick plug for the book. This is published today on Amazon. This is Hang the DJ, The Radio Presenter's Guide to the Law, by myself and Paul Hollins of Heart, with a foreword by Simon Bates, which is quite funny, actually. And that is available on Kindle at the moment and will be available in other formats over the next couple of weeks. And that is it. I just want to say thank you from myself and my favourite judge, Judge Judy. Thank you.